Hello folks, welcome. If you're here today, you might be asking yourself, could my child be autistic? Maybe you feel worried or anxious about what this means for your child and their future. You might feel alone or wonder if you're imagining things. I know how you feel. I've been there myself. Hi, I'm Lisa of Neurodivergent People, and I'm the neurodivergent mum of two amazing neurodivergent children. We've all been through the autism assessment process and come out the other side with our diagnosis and many other positives. I started this channel because I wanted to share our experiences in the hopes that it might help you. So today, I'll walk you through what I think are the best first steps to take, focusing on what you can do before pursuing an official autism assessment. Autism presents differently in everyone, so of course every autistic person is unique. Unfortunately, that means there's no simple, definitive list of signs that will tell you for sure if your child is autistic. Good news though, there are some common patterns that you might notice. These are in three broad areas connected to the core characteristics of autism: social communication differences, restricted or repetitive behaviours, and sensory experiences. Don't forget though, not all autistic people show every sign, and some might mask or hide these traits as well. The first step is to start observing your child, which of course you've already been doing. To structure your observations a bit more, try making notes about any behaviours that seem unusual or stand out to you. For example, you might notice differences in how they communicate, like avoiding eye contact or difficulty with turn-taking in conversations, or speaking in a very precise or repetitive way. There's nothing wrong with these behaviours, they're just different. Writing down specific examples can help you spot patterns and will be really useful later if you decide to talk to professionals. Next, it's helpful to break down or categorise how these behaviours relate to the core characteristics of autism. For example, maybe your child finds it challenging to interpret facial expressions or tone of voice. Maybe they take things really literally and struggle to understand metaphors. These would fall under the social communication differences. Then there's restricted or repetitive behaviours, like maybe your child has strong preferences for routines or repetitive actions that make them feel calm, or intense interests that they love talking about in detail. Lastly, your child might avoid loud noises or dislike certain textures, or on the other hand, actively seek out sensory input like spinning or looking at colourful lights. And these would all go into the sensory experiences category. Sometimes we're so close to our child that it's hard to recognise behaviours as different or unusual, particularly if you don't have a lot of experience with other children as well. Or, like me, you might see your child's differences as perfectly normal, only to find out later that's because you're also autistic. Let me know in the comments what sign or behaviour you've only recently discovered might indicate autism. To help make your observations clear and focused, you might want to try an online screening tool like the MChat, which is for toddlers, or the AQ10 for older children. These are pretty quick and easy, asking questions about social behaviours, communication and sensory responses, like it might ask if your child responds when you point to something, or if they seem overly focused on specific objects. They aren't a diagnostic tool, but they can help you to identify areas to focus on. You can also download my free Autism Observation Printable, which I've linked in the description below. This has heaps of potential signs of autism along with specific examples of the types of evidence that you might want to note down. There's plenty of space for you to make your own notes, as well as a quick checklist and help categorising various behaviours into the core characteristics. It can also be really helpful to get a second opinion from your child's nursery, daycare or school too. You don't have to tell them that you're considering autism as a possibility unless you feel comfortable doing so. You could just use some of your own observations and ask them to see if they notice similarities or differences in those behaviours in their setting. For example, you might say, I've noticed that my child has a lot of difficulty with certain tastes and textures at home. Is that something that happens at school too? Once you've gathered your observations and evidence, you might decide that it's time to talk to your child's paediatrician or GP. Share what you've noticed and be as specific as possible. Many doctors respond better to phrasing your concerns as a question, like, "Do you think this is worth investigating?" I'd also suggest bringing your written list of behaviours or examples along as well, to help the doctor to understand your concerns clearly and inform the decision to refer for an autism assessment. You need to be aware that getting an official diagnosis can take time. I'm talking months or even years. But the good news is that you don't have to wait to start supporting your child. Schools, local organisations and autism support groups can often provide accommodations and advice even before a diagnosis. For example, you can request support from your child's school or look into strategies that work for autistic children, like visual schedules or sensory-friendly spaces. Finally, trust yourself and your own instincts. If you feel your concerns aren't being taken seriously, don't feel bad about asking for a second opinion or contacting an autism specialist directly. You know your child best, and advocating for them is a really important part of this journey. To recap, if you're noticing signs that your child might be autistic, start just by observing and noting behaviours. Maybe use a screening tool to help, and talk to your child's educators and doctor. Remember that the purpose of all of this isn't to label your child, it's to better understand them and support their needs. You're not alone in this process, so do make sure to get support and connection for yourself too, either online, in person or both. By taking these steps, you're already helping your child to thrive. If this video is helpful, please share it with others who might need it and subscribe for more tips and resources. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.